Okay, now we're going to talk about standard form. Standard form just means writing the decimal exactly how you would write it using numbers. Okay, so if we look at our first example here, this is clearly in word form and it says 6 and 4/10. So I'm going to write this as a decimal and I'm going to write it as I would using numbers. All right, so what I always do is I look to see if I see the word and anywhere. And clearly I do. Remember, the word and means that's where your decimal point goes. In front of the word and is the number 6. That's going to be our first digit. The word and represents the decimal point. I'm going to put my decimal there. After the decimal point, I have 4/10. So the way that you would write the 4 looks like this. The last thing you want to make sure is the 4 in the 10ths place? When I look at this number, the 10ths place is the first place after the decimal, the first place to the right of the decimal. So this is written correctly. Let's try one in expanded form. All right, so this one, I'm giving it to you in expanded form, and you need to give it to me in standard form. So I want what the digits are. Let me expand this to make sure I have enough room. All right, so when I look here, I see that the 2 is being multiplied by 10. What that tells me is that the 2 needs to be in the tens place. The tens place is a whole number place. What would really help right now is when you're writing from expanded form and changing it to standard form, until you get more practice with it, it would help tremendously if you had your place value chart if you are still learning your places. So I know that the 2 is in front of the decimal point, and it's actually 2 places in front of the decimal point. So I'm going to put my 2 there. Then I'm going to add it to 4 times 1/10. Okay, so right away, I know that this 1/10 represents a decimal number. So I need to put my decimal point. However, if I just put my decimal point like this is making it so the 2 is in the ones place. I want the 2 in the tens place. So the way that I fix that is I delete my decimal and I have to put something in the ones place. The only number that I could put there is a 0. That would make that 2 times 10, which equals 20. Now I can put my decimal point. This is where when you have your place value chart and you put the 2 in the place that it belongs with, and then you go and you put the 4 in the tenths place, you know that in between the tens and the tenths is the ones, and since there's no number assigned there, you know that there has to be a 0. Okay, so moving on, I have a 4 times 1/10. So that tells me that the 4 has to be in the tenths place. Then I'm adding that to the 1 times 1/100th. That means the 1 has to be in the hundredths place. It's the second place to the right of the decimal point. And then the 7 times, this should be a 1,000th. 7 times 1,000th, that means the 7 should be in the thousandths place, and the thousandths place is the third place to the right of the decimal. So this is 20 and 417 thousandths. All right, you try a couple. Use either your place value chart or the back of your place value chart, and you try writing these. You can pause the video and then come back to me to see how you did. Okay, so I have it in Word. So the first thing I do is scan it and see if I see the word and. Here's the word and. That tells me this is where my decimal point needs to go. So everything in front of it is a whole number and everything behind it is a decimal. In front of the decimal point, I have the number 512. So if I was writing the number 512, it would look like this. The word and represents your decimal point. So you're going to include your decimal point. And then after the decimal point, I need to write the number 63, and I want the 3 to be in the hundredths place. So I'm going to write the number 63, and then I'm going to check, is the 3 in the hundredths place? In this case, yes, it is, because the hundredths place is the second place to the right of the decimal point. Last but not least, we have 4 times 100. That's a whole number place. So I'm going to put my 4 down first, plus 7 times 1. So I want the 7 in the ones place. Well, the 4 is in the hundreds, and in between the hundreds and here's my 7 that's in the ones, but in between the 7 and the ones is the tens place. So in between the 4 and the 7, I have to put a 0 in there. So that makes the 4 in the hundreds place, and now the 7 is in the ones place. Plus 8 times 1/10. This is a decimal point place, so that this is a decimal place, so that tells me I need my decimal point, and then I can include the 8, which needs to be in the tenths place. I'm gonna run out of space here. The 5 times 100th, that means the 5 has to be in the hundredths place. And then lastly, the 6 times 1,000th. The 6 has to be in the thousandths place. And so this number is 407 and 856 thousandths.